You're listening to the Odo Show podcast, your source for real cleaning talk and tips. Presented by Odoban, the original odor eliminator since 1980. Here are your hosts, Val and Dave.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Odo Show live Christmas party. Guys, we have been listening to Christmas music all day. We've been decorating. We are ready to get our Christmas on, and we are starting our holiday season right here with you guys. We've got a whole festive lineup planned for you. We're going to have a cookie showdown that you guys are going to get to vote on, and we're going to be talking about our favorite things about Christmas. You know, I love the Christmas season. Apparently you guys do too. There's always certain things that you love about the season that make it Christmas. Like, what is your favorite thing about Christmas, Val?
I just love the Christmas spirit that it seems to just get into everybody. I mean, you go out in public and, you know, you say hi to people that you wouldn't normally say hi to, or, you know, share a smile.
Really touchy-feely and deep. I feel kind of bad. I was just going to say presents. I mean, you know, free stuff, right?
Well, you know what? That's legit.
Well, right. So,
that is legit.
So, you know, like, when you were a kid, did you have a favorite present from your childhood?
Yes. It was a bicycle.
Ooh.
There was two girls up the street that I played with, and they were sisters, and they were bragging about the fact that they were going to be getting 3 speeds for Christmas. You know? So we were like upgrading. Form. We were at that age where we needed to get a bigger bike. And so I asked for a 3-speed. Christmas morning comes, there's not a bike under the tree.
It's pretty easy to see there's no bike under the tree.
Right. And I'm like, I was just like gutted. So after all the presents were open and everything, well, my brother-in-law happened to, say, I need, there's something out here on the porch. And I go out there, there's my bike. And
awesome.
It wasn't a 3-speed. It was a 5-speed.
Oh, 2 extra speed. Take that, kids, up the lane.
That's right. So I won up them thanks to Santa.
And now you got the Christmas brag.
I did. I did. So that was really special to me.
Your big season there.
Yep. Santa listened.
Now, see, I don't know. To be honest, I said presents, but I don't have like a specific present from childhood that is my thing. But I have a memory that involves presents. You know, I talked about growing up in a small town. My mom and dad and I lived there together, and my grandmother and aunt and uncle lived just outside of town. Well, our Christmas Eve tradition was we would pick up my grandmother, and we would go drive to the next big town over, and we'd drive around and look at all the Christmas lights. I love it.
That's so much fun. Don't you guys love to do that too? Yeah.
And so we got home, and it's late, and I'm probably 7 or 8 years old. Well, we get home, and our door's standing open just a little bit, which is terrifying these days, right? But, back then, small town, it wasn't that big a deal. My dad goes in the house, and when he comes out, he's like, guys, I think we surprised Santa. My little 7-year-old brain goes, go, Santa? So he's like, come on in, come look. We go in. The wood stove in our front room, one door is open, and there is a sooty boot print on the bricks right outside, and this bag of presents just dumped over. My mind was blown.
Santa's real, folks. I'm telling you.
Kids, no matter what your brothers and sisters tell you, Santa is real.
Yep.
So I was kind of on that believe, don't believe fence right there. Hooked. I was in. All right, so I said earlier we were going to have a Christmas cookie showdown, right? So I don't know if you guys know, both of our families are Christmas cookie families. Now, every family has something they make just for the holiday season. Some families are cake families. Some families are candy families. We're both from cookie families. So when we started talking about a Christmas special, we decided to have a little cookie throwdown showdown. Now, we have both baked some of our own secret recipe cookies. Say secret recipe, we're actually going to share the recipes, signature recipes. We're going to share those recipes with you guys. So we have brought these in, and we're going to do a little taste test. Now, if you guys want to try these for yourself, if you go to our odoban.com/live, that's our new homepage. Scroll all the way to the bottom, and you can download these recipes under, it says Odo Show Extras, I think. So check those recipes out. So I'm going to go first. My family, my grandmother used to bake 15 different types of cookies every Christmas, took cookies to all the neighbors of the family. My mom still does 8 different.
That's so sweet.
We have got a lineage of hardcore cookie. Now this recipe is one my wife and I came up with, started with an internet recipe, did a little tweaking of our own. About 10 years ago, these are gingerbread butterscotch cookies. These are really tasty.
Okay. gingerbread and butterscotch are two of my favorites.
But you never see them together?
But not together.
From now on, you will always think of it. So that's what I'm bringing. What are you bringing?
Okay. All right. So mine came from my sister and I used to get the magazines, the Christmas cookie magazines that comes out. You know, and usually see them in the checkout aisle.
Yeah.
And so one thing that she had pulled out of there were these peppermint melt away cookies.
Ooh.
And so she told me about them, and I made them, and they have stayed in my repertoire for every Christmas.
Oh, those look really good.
Yes.
Okay, guys, so here's what we're going to do. You're going to get to vote on these. Try the recipes if you want to, but we want you to go to our Odo Bandits Facebook page and tell us which one you think looks better here, or if you happen to bake them, let us know.
Wait a minute now. Not everybody is an Odo Bandit.
You're not an Odo Bandit? You got to be an Odo Bandit.
You need to be an Odo Bandit.
So look, Odo Bandits is our closed Facebook group. It's our fan page. This is where all of our fans hang out. They talk cleaning. There's a lot of good discussions on there. And they also get to know about our products first. They get inside company information. We do polls and questions. It's a lot of fun. So we're going to put a link up there. You click on that. You actually just send us your name and email and all, and we will get you access to the Odo Bandits if you're not already on there.
That's right.
So we're going to start. Okay, grab a cookie. You grab one of those. I'm going to grab one of yours. We're going to head to head here. What? Right. Jack said he wants a cookie. All right, Jack, you ready? Jack. Oh, God.
Wait a second. You should have tried one of mine. It was softer.
Put some ice on that. We'll take care of you after the show. I think I killed Jack.
Okay.
That is the creamiest cookie I have ever eaten.
Oh my goodness. These two flavors are really good. It's almost like a salted caramel kind of.
Yeah, okay.
Wow.
Yep, I see that.
I like the butterscotch.
Well, these are good. I
and
love
then
it.
the spice.
And the little crumbled peppermint on top. That's
That adds
really
some texture
refreshing.
to it.
It does. It's got a little crunch. All right, guys, this is up to you because I don't think I can call a winner here. These are good.
I'm voting for him.
We're just going to sit here and eat cookies. You guys go on about your business. Okay, I'm going to have to put this down.
Yeah.
I can't talk with a mouthful of cookies. I need something to wash my... Have we any eggnog?
Eggnog.
Anybody?
We need eggnog.
No? So, okay. That was our lead into the next segment. You like that? We're so smooth. Eggnog. Let's talk about eggnog. This is one of those things that you either love or you hate about the holidays. And speaking of Odo Bandits, we put up a poll on our Odo Bandits page earlier this week of whether you like nog or you don't like nog. Do you nog or do you not? And so the poll came back. 18 said no and 13 said yes. So they're sort of pretty
And 2 said not sure because they never tried.
Which I can see that.
Yeah.
If someone came up to you and said, I have this lovely sweet drink that's made with blended eggs, would you drink that? No, probably not. So they are overwhelmingly
It's all
not
about presentation.
instead of nog. So what do you think? Are you for the nog? Are you not or are you nog?
I'm nog.
You're nog.
I'm nog.
Okay, so you got to have your eggnog every year.
Yes, not every night, not a bunch. I have to have, at least a cup or two during the season, and that way I can check that off of my tradition list.
See, I love the way eggnog tastes, but you drink it, I'm full and I'm bloated and it's horrible. So I guess I could kind of take it or leave it. I guess I'm nog-gnostic, maybe.
Nog-gnostic.
But this is a very divisive thing. Typically, you either love it or hate it. But no matter whether you really love eggnog or you can't stand it, sooner or later in the holidays, it's going to end up in your house. Somebody's going to have a cup of it. And if you're unlucky, they get a little overnogged and they spill it in your carpet. Eggnog is one of the worst things.
That's not a good one.
No, all that milk and eggs and sugar, and it gets sticky and it's horrible. So a couple quick tips on cleaning up eggnog if someone happens to nog your carpet. Is you want a spot cleaner that's got enzymes in it. That's the enzymes we've talked about before. Helps break down the milk and all the protein in the spill. Now, our version of that is BioStain and odor remover. You can get it on samsclub.com and homedepot.com. But whoever you're looking for, you want one with the enzyme action in it. Now, that's if you have it wet. If you happen to let that eggnog dry in your carpet...
So in other words, you've had alcohol in that eggnog.
And you maybe forgot about it till the next morning.
It's until the next morning that you discover this.
A little too much nog in your egg. If you let it dry, you've got a horrible mess because it's sticky, it's hard. And the best bet there is what you're going to have to do is get a cloth rag, soak it with as hot a water as you can stand. Don't burn yourself, but really hot water. Put that on the stain and let it soak. What's going to happen is the steam is going to soften up that stain, and you're going to be able to work with it. Once it's softened up, 5 or 10 minutes, hit it with that enzyme carpet cleaner. You should be denogged and good to go.
Oh my God, the jokes just keep coming with the nogs. Right.
Nogs.
Okay, so let's say you have hardwood floors and it dries. I mean, it would be an easy cleanup if it's wet, but what if it dries?
Hardwood floor, you wipe it up, it's no big deal. If it dries, it's a little bit different. You probably don't want to do the steam treatment on real hardwood. Maybe on the Pergo type or the vinyl plank that's popular now, that's okay. But on the real hardwood, you want to get an oil soap type product. Soak that stain directly in the oil soap, 5 or 10 minutes, then use a dull plastic scraper to scrape up the stain, not damaging your floors, get the stain off, polish it out with a cloth rag, and you should be denogged and good to go. So we've talked about cookies, we've talked about eggnog. What's the next big milestone for Christmas?
I would say drinking it by the tree.
The tree, right? You got to have a Christmas tree if you're going to do Christmas. So there's 2 ways you can go with Christmas trees. You can go artificial or you can go real. Now, it just so happens one of our Oda bandits asked us a question just this week about cleaning up an artificial tree. Have you got that question there?
I do, and you know what? Turns out that I just found out today that she is our Oda bandit of the month, and congratulations to Barbara Bag.
Barbara's on the Baggy. Sorry, Barbara, we're terrible with names, but I know she's on the thread. Maybe she'll chime in on it. So
that's right.
Hit us with the question.
So she had posted. She says that she's cleaning out her parents' attic, and they have a high-end artificial Christmas tree
nice.
That's stored up there, and it's been there for about 10 years.
Ooh.
Okay, so unfortunately, it wasn't covered or wrapped up, when it was up there.
Yeah, ideally you want to keep those things wrapped up.
And there's been some rodent activity going on up there.
Typical of an attic, yep.
Right. So she says she's not sure how much the tree's been affected. It looks okay.
Okay.
So she's wondering if can she disinfect it with Odoban and be able to use the tree.
Clean it, put it back in service. This is actually a great use for Odoban. Anytime you got an artificial tree, it's been stored in the attic, even if you do wrap it up, they typically come down a little musty, a little funky. And so you want to take Odoban at 5 ounces per gallon if you're using the concentrate, or just buy the RTU. Mist the tree, set it up, spread everything out, mist it heavily, and then let it dry for 24 hours before you either plug it in or decorate it if it's an unlit tree. Now the trick there is you got to make sure and let it dry. That way you're not plugging in anything wet. That's kind of obvious. But Odoban's a great way to clean and freshen up and deodorize those trees coming down out of the attic. It's a great use for it. Barbara, thanks for your question and thanks for being an Oda Bandit. So the other option you can go with, of course, like some of the people in our thread here are talking about, is real trees. Now real trees, we used to do a real tree. And I loved them growing up. They smelled so good. You would always get, the smell when you walk in the house. Mm-hmm. But they're such a pain. I could never keep one alive. Halfway through Christmas, it's a brown bottle brush. It's a stick. Stuff's falling off
fire
of
hazard.
it. It is.
Yeah.
I know you're a gardener, right?
Mm-hmm.
And do you have any tips about keeping the real trees fresh and alive through Christmas?
Well, I can go based on just like personal experience for the most part.
Well, let us have it.
Because we had one for years. We would always get a real tree. But I've learned that, and I've tried the whole put an aspirin in the water, and they talk about bleach and
soda and sugar and a bunch of. Does any of that do any good?
No.
Okay.
No.
So just water.
No, and the consensus is that these things have been tried by
professionals.
People. Yes, and they just say keep them watered, keep them hydrated. Watered. So my recommendation, and what has always worked for me, is to take the tree, and as soon as you get it home, either put it in the stand, put it up against the house, tree, something.
Go ahead and stand it up.
Stand it up, right. And hose it down with water, because you're going to rehydrate that tree.
I would never. I guess it's like raining in the forest. I wouldn't have thought of that.
Right.
Okay.
It absorbs through the needles and everything. So that's the first step you want to do. Then you'll also want to go ahead and make like a 1-inch cut at the bottom, even though they probably have done that for you. Like if you got it at a big box store, or if you went to a tree farm and cut it down. Still, once you get home, cut it again, because that is actually starting to dry. In that little bit of time, it starts to dry.
I've heard
with that sap,
gotta...
you have to do that. So, and if you can't cut it at home, rough it up really good, with steel wool or, whatever you've got.
So fresh cut right into the stand,
get it wet. Into the water, exactly.
Gotcha.
And another tip that I've learned that I didn't know at the time, but I've since heard, is that to run a humidifier in the same room where the Christmas tree is.
I would not have thought of that,
and
but that makes good sense.
And that's probably something really good for people up north who have like the wood-burning stoves and the furnaces where, the heat is really dry and there's not a lot of humidity.
Yeah, it keeps the tree humid. Well, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
That was, keeping one alive was always, I would forget to check the water would go dry, the tree would seal up, it'd be dead in a week. I love the way it smells, but it was just a huge pain. Now I'm like, plug it in. The other thing was always, they make a huge mess. You got needles everywhere and you got sap. That was the first thing I learned about dealing with a live tree is the sap is the issue. As soon as I started touching the tree off the car, sanding it up in the yard, any of that, gloves. Jersey knit gloves, something you can throw away when you get sap all over them. That way you got sap on the gloves, not on your hands, because if you've got sap on your hands, you've got sap all over your house. There's no two ways about it. And then you put it up and they're going to drop needles everywhere. Now, speaking of sap, when it drops those needles on the carpet, don't just run over them with your vacuum with the beater brush because they might have sap on them. The trees leak a little bit now and then, and the beater brush on your vacuum cleaner is just going to smear that into your carpet. You don't want that. Use the attachments, the tubes and all that come with your vacuum to suck the needles up. I was thinking about this too along those same lines. Everybody now has robotic vacuum cleaners, right? And we've all seen the images and the stuff online about the vacuum cleaners through the dog poop and it tracks poop all over the house. Ugh. Imagine if that was tree sap.
Yeah.
You may, if you have a robotic vacuum cleaner, want to turn that off if it's in the room with the tree. Just a thought.
I mean, thankfully it doesn't smell like, if it was a dog. But the thing is that you can use a carpet extractor.
Right.
But with sap, you can't just use soap and water and clean it that way. So how would you get that out of the carpet?
So if you got sap on the carpet and you need to get it out, what you need is rubbing alcohol. Go to the store and get the 90% if you can, not the 70% that like most people sell. Get the 90. High test. What you're going to do is soak a cotton ball with the alcohol, put it directly on the sap, kind of work it around. What's going to happen is the alcohol is going to break down the sticky resins in the sap. Now, it may take several treatments, but you're going to see that sap start to break down and get crumbly, and you can just sort of flake it out of the carpet and get together the loose pieces instead of it being sticky. So that's your tip there for getting it out of carpet. Now, if you happen to have hardwood floors, you were back to hardwood floors again.
That's my question is, how would you do that?
You guys have got the nice hardwood, yeah. I know.
Right.
So if you've got hardwood floors, again, you're going to turn to the oil soap type products. In this case, you're not making it brittle, you're actually softening it up. You put the oil soap on the sap, let it soak for 5 or 10 minutes, come back with your scraper, work it off. It's kind of the same thing as the sticky eggnog mess.
So, in other words, if you know that you already have sap on your hardwood floors, that's your target if you're going to spill your eggnog, because there you can take care of both of them at the same time.
It's always easy to be efficient with your messes if you can. It simplifies the cleaning process. So that's our tips on Christmas tree sap. And the needles, the other time you get needles everywhere is when you're taking the tree out of the house. I would invariably be carrying a tree out, run into a door frame, and boom, there's an explosion of needles all over the room. Never fails. So I decided what I'd start doing. I had an old sheet that I kept as like a drop cloth. I would wrap the tree up in the sheet and then carry it outside. That way you didn't drop any needles.
That makes it much easier.
And I actually was looking around this year. There are companies making bags specifically for tree extraction from your home where you put the bag on as a tree skirt, and at the end of the season, once you undecorate the tree, you just pull the bag up over the tree and seal it off. Seems really easy. But I'm cheap, and I'd probably still use a sheet.
I would probably hang it up on the door, and there'd be a hole, and then next thing you know, there's all this.
Boom, needles everywhere, and you're right back where you started. Now, once you get it outside, remember, guys, that disposing of the Christmas tree is important. A lot of your municipalities have specific rules. You want to look for somewhere that's recycling it, chipping it up, and making it useful. And some of the local Home Depot stores, they individually set up programs that do this. So check with your Home Depot store for recycling. And, when I was a kid, we just take them out and throw them in the lake. Did you guys do that in Florida?
We didn't, but
It was commonly done.
We had the silver 60s tree, for a while.
The tinfoil one, you don't want to throw that in the lake. So we would always take the trees out and throw them in the lake, figure it makes good fish habitat. And I asked a ranger at a local lake this not too many years ago, and he said, look, guys, don't throw the trees in the lake. We've got more trees than we do fish in the lake these days, so maybe don't do that.
Well, another idea on that is that you could probably go out there and fish for your next year Christmas tree.
It's going to look horrible when you pull it up, though.
That's what spray paint's for.
Spray paint. Okay, guys, you heard it here
there
first.
You go.
Fish
DIY.
your tree out of the lake, $6 can of spray paint, you're off and running. You heard it here first. Now, we've had a great time hanging out with you guys. We hope you've enjoyed our Christmas party. Merry Christmas, guys. See you next time.
Thanks for listening to The Odo Show, presented by Odo Band. If you've enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review and subscribe so you'll never miss an episode. Until next time, make life fresh.